Hi, my name's Alison Klektau, and I'm a yoga and Pilates fusion teacher here at YYOGA. And today I'm going to be breaking down tabletop position in a sense that we would utilize for perhaps a glute series in a Pilates class. One of the most common complaints or things that I notice is that either people's wrists are bothering them or they notice it more in their supporting leg. So hopefully this tutorial will help create a little bit more sense of support and balance so that you can get the most out of it when you do use this as a form of exercise. Now, tabletop is perhaps one of my favorite ways to utilize the glutes because not only are we focusing on the glutes, it requires core activation and shoulder stability. So you're really encompassing the whole body. So to get started, a few things to keep in mind. If your knees are sensitive, you always want to take padding, right? So you can either double up your mat, you can use a towel. If you have a blanket, that works really well for you. If you happen to have those chip foam yoga blocks, you can use those instead. So for a few arm variations, the most classical or often taught is working from your hands. Now, in general, you want to have your hands about outer shoulder distance apart underneath the shoulders. There's a slight external rotation of the upper arm bone. And so what that means is that your index finger is going to be more run parallel to the front edge of your mat. Now, if you're like me and you tend to hyperextend or lock into your joints a bit, a little soft bend to your elbows is completely fine, right? But notice how a soft bend is different from a bent elbow. So the softness, just creating a little bit more space so I'm not dumping into the joints, but I still want to use muscular activation. So I'm pressing the palms down to lift up. And so there's this extension, this lifting up into the back body. In terms of weight distribution, I want to press firmly into my finger pads and index knuckles. So index knuckle being right where your pointer finger meets the hand. And from here, as my shoulders draw back, I want to focus on hugging the palms in and then lifting to your upper back. Now, for those of you who with wrist sensitivity, if this doesn't serve you, a few little options you can move into. So one would be doubling up the front part of your mat. And what you'll do is you'll place the heel of the hand on the mat and take your fingertips so they face off it. And you might have to adjust what that height is for you. And all that is going to do is create a little bit of more space so we're not dumping into the heel of the hand. And from there, you're still pushing to your finger pads, index knuckle. Push down, lift up, shoulders draw away from the ears. Now, if this option doesn't work for you, there's two other ones that can be great ones to play around with. One is making fists. So if you're making fists, you want to make your thumbs face forward, right? So external rotation. If I was to turn my thumbs inwards, now I'm internally rotating and I'm losing the space here for the shoulders. So thumbs will face forward. And then from here, you really want to focus on rooting to rebound. So as I press the tops of the hands down, it's if I'm pushing the floor back up. So caution that I'm not collapsing at the wrist. I'm nice and strong here. The other option would be, and for this one, I find it helps to take the hands a little bit of a wider stance, is coming to your finger pads. And then from here, you want to think of a jellyfish effect, right? So you're suction cupping away from the floor. Same thing, I'm not dumping into the knuckles or into the wrists, right? There's still that lift up and away. So from working your hands, those are a few options you can play around with. From here, options would be coming down to your forearms. Now, forearms is probably my most preferred method because it allows for a greater range of motion without dumping into the low back. So when you're working on your forearms, you'll have a narrower stance, so elbows will be directly on the shoulders, bone on bone. A few options for the hands would be to have your hands planted flat firmly. You can do an interlacing of your fingertips, and this is my favorite one. It's a hang loose. So your pinky fingers and your thumbs will be released. The rest of the fingers interlace. Once more pushing down, lifting up. And then there's another one that I don't use myself, but some people prefer it, and it's called bird's nest. So it's essentially just a little interlacing of the top few hands with the other ones drawn outwards. So those are a few variations you can work from there. And then the last arm variation that's the most common that I love to work with is coming down to one forearm, tenting onto the other fingertips. Now what will want to happen is the body wants to dump over to this side. I'm collapsing into the shoulder. I'm no longer supported. So as I push the forearm down, I want to bring the weight more centered to the mat. So even though I've got a larger base here and it's a little bit more stable, this hand is doing quite a bit of work. So if I needed to, I can easily rise up, right? So finger pads press down, forearm pushes down, lift into upper back. Okay, now from there, when it comes to getting into the use of the legs, we want to focus on core activation. So the foundation of many shapes is the inner thighs are rolling together and back, sit bones drawing down. So maintain more of a neutral pelvis. And the analogy that I love using is if you're zipping up really high-waisted pants that are too tight. So it's that pulling up, back and into the belly button. And so when you're coming down to your arm variation, whether that's the hands, the forearms, or other variations up, there's still that lift up. When we're in the tabletop, it's really easy to dump into the low back here. And then, you're losing the work, and that's often when you leave and it's like, oh, that didn't feel so great. I feel that all into my low back. So you want to really utilize that core stability. Now from here, if I'm working from my hands, you'll notice that my range of motion is going to be less. I'm lifting from the glute. I'm not lifting from the low back. So if you notice your whole spine is getting into it, I want you to think of lifting the lower front ribs into your upper back, shoulders away from ears, and you might just start to work little toe taps, right? So instead of focusing on how high you can lift the leg, focus on lengthening the leg away from you to lift up. Now from here, if I was to come down to my forearms, because my forearm's a little bit lower and I'm a bit more at an angle, it becomes more accessible to lift the leg a little bit higher, finding that range of motion. So from here, I might work those little taps again. And really utilizing the idea of opposites. So as my leg draws back, my heart is lengthening forward. And then from there, I'm finding my lift of the leg, right? So if I'm just lifting the leg straight up, I'm more at risk in compressing to the low back. And it's really subtle work here, right? I'm not shifting my whole weight forward. It's more of an energetic lengthening, drawing of the heart forward. And then from there, reaching the leg away from me as I lift up and lower. Now, it can get a little bit tricky when we start to take the leg out to the side of the body. So from here, when we start working the leg to the side, this is where I'd like to utilize one forearm down, tenting to the right hand if I'm working the right side, or even coming onto those fingertips or a wider stance of the hands. And if we are working, let's say, more of a fire hydrant to the right side, drawing the knee away from me and pulling back in, what will want to happen with the body is it wants to tip over to one side. This is when we start to feel it more into the standing leg. And that's an exaggeration, but that's when we start to feel it more into our supporting leg. Just as clarification, your supporting leg is stabilizing, so you will feel it do work. That's not a bad thing. However, you do want to feel your working leg participate. So from here, as I'm drawing my leg out to the right, I want to think of pulling or drawing the left leg out to the side. So my weight is center of the mat. So once more, it's the length before the lift. All right, so a few things that you can work on to help create that sense of stability and length is really your classic bird dog is what I was always taught this was. But once more, lifting that right leg and then maybe reaching the left arm forward, lift into the upper back, shoulders away from ears. So even though I've got the right leg and left arm lifted, my weight is still centered the mat. So if I had like a peg leg drawing down and an arm, it's pushing into the earth to lift up. From here, I might start to explore into more of an airplane, so taking my leg and arm out to the side and drawing back through center. So once more, trying to maintain pelvis level, chest nice and wide. And then if you really want to have fun with it and see what happens, and I have no idea what's going to happen for me for this because I don't do it often, but right leg long behind you, lifting the right leg up, trying to maintain pelvis level, reach your right arm forward, and then maybe you start to do same arm as leg. Still pushing away from the earth, coming back more through center. Yeah. And the last little thing here that I didn't mention, those toes can be tucked or pointed. So that's entirely up to you. Toes tucked can feel a little bit more stable, but if it does feel better for the feet, you can point it. So those are just a few little things to keep in mind as you're moving through your tabletop position. So as a little quick recap, yes, you'll feel it in your supporting leg. It's stabilizing. You are working shoulder stability and core activation. So you want to keep all those things in mind. If it starts to get too much for you as you do these exercises, focus on moving slower and do less reps, and then work your way up to a pace and to the amount of reps that feels sustainable for you. And you can find that sweet spot where you're getting into the glute and you can feel that nice little burning sensation that some of us like to look for as we work out, but while maintaining that safe connection to your physical body. So I hope that helps, and see you soon. Thank you.